Hey, this is Vu, and today I'm going to take a look at the Negev and question, is it viable? And the short answer is yes, and the long answer is yes, 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 yes. To qualify that, I'm going to say that I don't think it's ever really going to be viable in the pro scene unless it was buffed to be completely broken. Because with the low movement speed and the fact that you're often going to use it to lock down an angle and you can't really move when you're doing that, pros are going to have the utility usage to double nade that player out, especially if they, have that Negev one round and then the next round they're expecting it and they know how to counter it. However, in matchmaking and pugs especially, I think this gun can get a ton of work down, even at somewhat higher levels of pugs, near the top of matchmaking, partially because people don't yet really know how to play against it, so it actually baits people into free kills, and partially because it's not nearly as bad in the situations people think it's bad in as it really is.
Are they just walking into your fucking Negev? What's going on?
He's fucking Mexican, dude.
I'm so confused.
So if you look at what the spread is, you can actually see that on the first bullet here, the spread is really, really good. You can actually get a pretty guaranteed headshot at reasonable range with this gun, even if you're not already shooting. The problem is bullets about 2 to 10 are really bad, but again, they're not quite as bad as people seem to think. You have a very good chance, if you're at a reasonable range, for example, sandbags to the corner here, to get a kill in your first 1 to 10 bullets if someone peeks into the angle. And because of the fire rate, those 10 bullets come out real quick, right? And one of the things about it is that people are kind of baited into it. And this is why I'm saying that part of why it's good is because people aren't used to it. When someone sees a Negev firing, they think to themselves, well, I'll just wait till he reloads and get the kill. Or they often think the idea that you have when you fight against an AK or an M4, if someone with an AK or an M4 is spamming an angle, what people like to do is they like to just wait and then strafe across the angle and kill that player, because the fire rate is low enough and the inaccuracy in the spray is high enough that they can assume that both you're unlikely to tag them instantly as they're crossing the angle, and you're going to have a hard time adjusting your spray to hit them afterwards before they can just get the free kill on you. However, with the Negev, because it shoots so ridiculously fast, and because it has a laser beam of a spread pattern later in the spray where you're just aiming right below the angle, people are baited into peeking out into it. And I can't tell you how many times I've had someone peek out with an AWP or a Krieg or something and try and kill me while I'm pre-firing an angle and just instantly die, like before I even register them on my screen, because they're peeking into an angle against a Negev. And the brilliant part about that is the Negev also has about 12 seconds of straight fire rate. I think it's something like 11 point something of locking down an angle. So you can almost lock down an angle for the entire length of a Molotov when someone wants to push into an area. And when you combine that with the fact that it's $1,700, it actually is kind of ridiculous how good this gun was. Obviously, if it didn't have this just laughably slow move speed when you pull it out, it would be a very, very strong gun. Now, obviously, the laughably slow move speed is why I don't think it's particularly viable at the pro scene. Again, when you're trying to lock down an angle, you're probably going to get nade stacked, and you can't really rotate around the map with it. However, that kind of fills the role of shotguns, which are also fairly viable at pug matchmaking levels, because people don't have the nade stack ability and the rotations are a little bit less important. If you can lock down Banana on Inferno consistently by using a Negev, the fact that rotations are quite hard kind of becomes a non-factor because you've done your job and then some. So it's just the idea that the Negev is actually a pretty good gun. It's actually very usable in many situations, specifically because it's so cheap, and also because it really baits people into wanting to kill you. People that haven't played against a Negev on Banana before consistently get destroyed by this thing. And I've even seen at, rank 10 Face It, people use this gun, or there's a specific player I'm thinking of, in fact, that has used this gun, even used it in advanced playoffs in a match, and used it to pretty good effect as well, because people don't know how to deal with this thing, and they get baited into continuing to go back, and then once they die 5 or 6 times, they finally give up and go to the other side. So I'd say it's worth trying out. You can always do like crab walk with the Negev, and walk into an angle. Not necessarily the most recommended play, because that's the one play where someone could just be kind of waiting and then spam you down. But it's a fun gun to use, and it's actually pretty damn strong. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope this helped. Patreon, 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 Patreon. Vous CSGO.